Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you, bro?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm excited.
And what has you all excited this
Snow.
morning? I know.
I'm excited. I like to shovel snow.
Do you?
Yeah. I don't mind driving in snow either.
I don't mind. I don't mind driving in snow. But you're from an area where there's nothing to drive in snow.
Yep. So no, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Shovel some snow.
Well.
Get some good exercise.
Okay, I could do without that. But I'll go with it.
No, that's the outdoors in me. I love being in the garden in the summer, and that's something that is a task to do that I really do enjoy it. And I like with a big snowstorm like this that's coming, I'll get out several times.
Oh yeah, I do too because I don't have a really big snowblower, so I have to do
You
it.
have a snowblower?
Uh-huh.
I have arms.
Well, I have arms for some parts, but when I
Am I muted? I don't think so. Oh, it did. Sorry. Sorry, everybody. It was on. It was green, and there's a little button. If you touch it wrong, then it just turns it down. And well, anyway, snow. I'm excited about snow. I'm going to shovel snow.
I know, but now, sometimes, a lot of times, when you and I do this, we kind of reminisce of what it was like when we were kids or whatever.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid and children, I don't know, from 10 to teenagers or whatever, used to go around and knock on doors and say, would you like us to shovel your sidewalk?
I know, and I should plan to have a little bit of extra cash. I never have cash anymore because that would be perfect to have, to hire some young people to help, but not too many people do that anymore.
No, I know.
I remember a really big storm. My kids would remember it. We had I want to say between 24 and 36 inches of snow, and this was in the central southern tier of New York State, not too far, about 4 hours away, where we were living at the time, and the kids were probably aged from 5 to 10, in that range. And we got ourselves dug out. And then we went to the kids' grandparents and helped dig them out. And then we were making tunnels. It was that deep that we could make tunnels in the snow. That was a lot of fun.
I know. I remember times like those
So
too.
I don't think we're going to get that much snow this time, kids. But I bet you are excited about snow, going out in the snow. It's fun.
It is fun.
Sledding, building ice forts or snow forts. Oh, it's so much fun. Take a bucket and pack the snow in and make a cube or a thing, and then
yeah, like make an igloo or a wall.
Yes, that was so much fun.
I know.
Snow is fun.
I know.
Yeah, I talked about that in my letter.
I know, and look, because I got your letter. And you know what? I was thinking about...
What letter?
The letter, you send a weekly letter out every...
Yeah, well, almost every week, yep. Sometimes it's 10 days in between, but yeah, I do. And I talked about snow.
I know. Now, you usually send, to most of us, you send the letter through the computer.
Right.
Okay.
Like an email.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
That some people that you mail to, because some people don't have access to a computer or anything like that.
Yeah, kids, if you can believe it, some people don't do letters, emails, mail over electronic. They don't have that. Maybe some of your grandparents don't. I don't know.
But I was thinking about that. The mail I get has really changed. Because it used to be, that's how we communicated a lot with people who lived far away. It was through letters.
I know. Do you remember when you were a kid, did you ever have a pen pal?
A pen pal, yes.
Kids, do you know what a pen pal is? A pen pal? You should send us a message. I have my phone. You can put in the chat if you know what a pen pal is. If you know what a pen pal is.
Yeah. My sisters, now they're older than I am. They had pen pals from Japan.
I mean, was that puppy pails? Well, no, pale puppy?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know that's a cartoon. What is it?
Pound puppy?
No, that was a while back ago.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, well, anyway.
I'm not up with that.
But pen pals, pen pals. What's the dog show that are called pals?
Paw Patrol.
Oh, it's Paw Patrol, not Pals. Yeah, Paw Patrol.
Yeah. But letters have really changed because we don't really get letters anymore. I think it's really cool when somebody, and I do have a friend, and she just lives in Lancaster. Every now and then, she will write me, handwrite a letter. And I think that is so cool for somebody to take the time to just jot down some things. And it just tells me things that she's been doing or what's on her mind, or remember when we did things, and then she'd put it in the mail, and
I received a couple of thank you notes recently that were handwritten. That was really special. And it was a letter. But the purpose of the letter was to thank me. But sometimes there's other purposes to a letter, like maybe there's a business purpose, or maybe it's just a friendly communication, like you were talking about, between friends, just to give an update of how you're doing or whatever.
There's a comment online that fits right in with
we just talked about this with the kids because our neighbors just moved 2 weeks ago. And we talked about writing to them. That's the Beaversons. So kids, that will be a great thing, Chloe and Dylan, to do is to actually write a letter and send it to the new address of those neighbors that moved.
Yeah.
Because it's so fun to get real mail nowadays.
Yeah, and even draw a picture.
Yeah.
Like I remember when my kids went to college, and my grandnephews and nieces used to draw pictures and send them to them in college. And Bailey and Tristan used to love to get those pictures from them.
Yeah. So there's letters are really important. Did you know that letters have been circulating in our country and in the world, throughout the world, for a long time?
Well, aren't there some letters in the Bible, really, when we think about that?
Yeah, but before we talk about that, remember, did you ever get a letter that had a wax seal on it?
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes. And lots of times it had a letter or something or a design.
Like they would put a drop of wax or a good blob of wax.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
And then you would put something, while it was hot, you would put something that would leave an imprint on that wax, and it would seal it. And then the person would know that the letter came from you.
Yeah.
Like it might be BB.
Yeah, lots of times it was an initial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really exciting.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, but that was in the recent past, 100, 200, 300 years ago. And I guess they did that even before that. But you were talking about in the Bible there are letters.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I know. Some of those books of the Bible were actually letters.
Oh, they weren't books.
No, chapters. I think of them as chapters more than I do books.
Yeah, well, what are some of them? Because remember back this summer when we were doing our virtual vacation Bible school, there was a song that talked about the books of the Bible.
Yes, there was.
That lead us to revival.
We need to sing that every now
so
and
the
then.
books of the Bible. But so it started with the old.
Lead us to revival.
Yeah.
Name them one by one. See what God has done.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, but...
Remember, we need to do that sometime.
We learned the books of the Old Testament. Then in the New Testament, there's all these books. And we're kind of familiar with Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Because they tell the stories of Jesus and Jesus' life and the stories of his birth and the stories of his teaching and all of that stuff. But some of the books that come afterwards, then there's Acts, and that's the Acts of the actions of the disciples. And then Romans starts it off. Romans is not so much a book as it was a letter to the church in Rome. It was a letter to the Roman Christians.
Well, isn't that a lot of the letters? Like Corinthians, right, was a letter to the people who lived
in the city, the ancient city of Corinth.
Yeah.
And there's not just one, but there's two different letters that Paul sent. And the way, when you read, you're talking about Corinthians, the letter to the church people in the city of Corinth, those letters kind of reference some other letters that we don't have. So there could have been a third and maybe even a fourth letter that Paul sent to the church in Corinth. But that church was kind of an interesting church. I mean, these are people that did not grow up with the Jewish traditions, so they didn't have the background of the same kind of relation. They were coming in from having Greek and Roman gods. So they were kind of learning about living in a church or a congregation or an assembly, a community together. And there were things that they needed to learn. And that's, Paul used letters to communicate that.
Yeah,
to,
and to teach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, every Sunday, not every Sunday, but most Sundays, I'm just going to put that back down. Most Sundays, we have been, during our faith formation time, using the scriptures that are, we call them lectionary because they're lections or little selections of readings that have been set out years ago, and we follow that. There's one from the Old Testament or the Hebrew scriptures. There's a psalm, which is usually like a response. Somehow it's connected to that Old Testament lesson. Then there's a gospel lesson, and then the last one is usually called the Epistle Lesson or history lesson, but usually it's the Epistle Lesson. But what does that word epistle mean? That's a really old-fashioned
I don't
word.
know. You know what? I don't even know what that means.
Well, an epistle is a letter.
Oh.
It's an old-fashioned word for somebody that sends a communication, a letter, to somebody else. And so that's really what it means, is the letters.
Uh-huh.
So the epistle reading. So every Sunday in the lectionary, there is a reading from the letters section of the New Testament. But we often don't use them because on Sundays, I mean, my goodness, 4 scriptures is a lot to learn.
Yeah.
But when we're doing this lectionary learning in faith formation time, we can explore some of the other scriptures, whether it's the Hebrew scripture story, the Old Testament lesson, or whether it's the gospel lesson, or in this case today, we're talking about the letters. In church, we're going to talk about the gospel lesson.
Mm-hmm.
But so there's a lot of letters in the New Testament that Paul sent, but then there were some letters from John. There were different letters that circulated to groups of people.
Uh-huh.
That's really cool, and
That
we
is
still
cool.
have them.
Yeah.
And we can learn from them.
Yeah. Well, I read the epistle lesson that was assigned
the epistle
for today.
lesson. The
And-
letter.
Yeah, and it was kind of hard to make sense of
Yeah.
because it was talking about eating meat or should we not eat meat.
Food sacrificed to idols. My goodness,
Yeah,
that's
like-
weird. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
That's like weird.
Yeah.
So
Well-
how do we understand it?
Well, as I kind of understand it, it wasn't really as much about the exact food and.
Well, but there
all
was
that
stuff in there about knowledge and love.
Well,
How
there
does that
was.
relate to food, to idols, and all this
Well,
stuff?
I think because we need both knowledge and love.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? To really go forward and to do what God has planned for us. And Jesus used his knowledge and showed love. Because I think some people focus mostly on the knowledge. Well, I know a lot about this, and that's good, but do you put that into action through love?
Okay, so love can change knowledge. Now, we have something sitting here. Do you know what this is?
Well, there's lots of candy in there.
Yeah. And so let's talk about this
Okay.
candy and how it relates to knowledge and how it relates to love
Okay.
in this letter that Paul sent.
Okay. Well, some candy in here, and every Sunday morning I go raid this container.
Do you? Where is it?
Oh, maybe I shouldn't tell you because then.
Okay, all right, so then I won't find it. Okay.
But it's in the office, and so oftentimes there are peanut butter cups.
Oh, yum. I love me some Reese's peanut
Oh,
butter cups.
yes, I do too. But I can eat peanut butter cups. A lot of us can eat peanut butter cups and love peanut butter cups.
Yeah,
But
yummy.
some people have allergies, peanut allergies, and
I didn't think about that.
they can't eat peanuts or products made from peanuts like peanut butter.
Right.
And some people, and even, working in an elementary school, we're really conscious of that for some children in the cafeteria who have peanut allergies.
So
They can't even touch it.
Yeah.
Because they get that allergic to it and might get a rash or have problems breathing even.
Yeah, that's really bad.
Yeah, and they carry like an EpiPen that, you know.
Okay, so to help with the reaction.
Mm-hmm.
So let's think about this. This is an idea.
Okay.
That maybe this is how knowledge and love come into peanut butter cups.
Okay.
So my name is David and your name is Brooke, and I have peanut butter cups, and I know that you have peanut allergies. And so we're at school, and I'm like, hey, Brooke, I have some candy. Do you want some of this candy? Would that be nice, or would that be mean?
Well,
if I'm going to share.
if you have the knowledge that I have an allergy,
Ooh, then that would be, that would be bad.
I mean,
that would be almost like mean to like tempt you with a peanut butter cup if I know that you have a peanut butter allergy.
now I know, yes. Now I know sometimes it's easy to forget that. Like I totally understand that, especially when you don't have an allergy, you know.
Yeah.
But when you do it over and over and over again,
Well, that would be hard on you, Brooke, if you had the peanut butter allergy, because
yeah,
maybe you would like to have a peanut butter cup.
yeah, it would be, to me, it would be like tempting. And I would think, David, I've told you this how many times? Why can't you remember that peanut butter's really harmful to me?
Yeah, so then that would not be an act of love or sharing for
No.
me to try and get you to eat a peanut butter cup.
Right,
Wow.
right.
So in this case, so Paul's talking about having knowledge, and you can have that knowledge, the knowledge that sharing is important, but there are times when love actually trumps or comes over or changes what our knowledge would do.
And sometimes, like, if you would offer me a peanut butter cup without knowing that about me, I mean, that's an act of love that you're doing, wanting to share with me.
Right.
But you didn't, I would have to tell you, you didn't have that knowledge, you know?
Right,
So
okay.
that's like a simple mistake.
But once you know that, then you really need to show love. You need to use your knowledge to protect the person from having an exposure to peanut butter.
Yeah, and that's like really thinking about that other person, thinking about them first before yourself.
Wow. But you know, there's other people that have other situations.
Like what?
Well, I mean, a lot of our kids that are watching, they know that there's like maybe a grandparent or maybe even a parent that has type 2 diabetes. That's adult onset diabetes. That's when your blood sugar levels get out of whack, and sometimes they have to take medication or at least avoid sugars and things like that that can make spikes. And sometimes people will go either hyper or hypo. They get too much or have too little, and they have to get right in the middle. And but that's later in life. But there are actually children and youth that have what's called type 1 diabetes or juvenile diabetes. And they're kind of born with it, or it develops early on. They just have a genetic, I guess, tendency. The medical people can correct me if I'm wrong, toward this diabetic condition. And for them, this is not good at all.
No, it wouldn't be.
A whole candy jar. They have to learn how, as a young person, to live differently, just like the person that's got the peanut allergies.
Oh my God.
Except it's not just peanut butter.
You know what? So Halloween mustn't be as fun for them.
Well, think about it.
Yeah, they can't eat the candy that most people give out.
So, you know, we need a lot of knowledge. And it's not just about what we eat, although that was the content of the letter that Paul sent to the church at Corinth, was talking about, because, see, the issue back then was that there was all kinds of different, I mentioned, you know, the Greek and Roman religions. In their religions, they made sacrifices to different gods. But then they would take the sacrifices. Sometimes it was animal meat, sometimes it was fruits or vegetables, and then they would sell it at the market. And so then people would buy that. And so there was this controversy in the church, people saying, no, you can't eat that, because that was a gift to the gods of the Greeks and Romans. And somebody would say in the church, you can't eat that, you can't eat that. But somebody else would say, well, it's fine for me. I didn't make the sacrifice to the gods. And so there was this controversy between, so then it comes down to this issue of knowledge and love. So if I know that would be upsetting to you, Brooke, about having the vegetables or fruits that had been previously offered, then I shouldn't offer those to you.
Right.
I should not make a big deal about it. In the same way that we were talking about avoiding giving peanut butter cups to somebody that's got a peanut allergy. So our knowledge should lead us to loving behavior. I think that's what was kind of the idea behind Paul's letter, that chapter in Paul's letter. He had lots of other chapters that he talked about, but that's the one that's in today's scripture lessons. So does that make sense to you?
It makes sense to me.
I wonder if it makes sense to our kids. I wonder if there's other times when we might have knowledge that can be guided by love. Sometimes we know a secret. And sometimes when we know a secret, that knowledge can become like, I have something over you because I know the secret. And sometimes we can carry a secret and flaunt ourselves around, or we could be mean with a secret.
Yeah.
And so love always trumps knowledge. So love always comes higher than knowledge. We might know a secret, but love should help us in the disseminating of that secret or keeping it as a secret.
Right. Like thinking the ultimate question would be, if I would share this secret, does that show I love this person? Or is that an act of love for me to share this secret? Now, and I'll say this to kids because I said that there are some things that should not be kept secret.
Oh, absolutely. And I know, as a guidance counselor, I know exactly where you're going.
Yes.
If somebody is hurting you, if somebody is threatening you, if somebody is going to do something bad to you,
Right.
that is something that you can share. And if they tell you, don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone.
Because that's an example of that is an act of love to actually tell an adult.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I was thinking about more was
But, yeah, I know.
like your mommy is going to have a surprise birthday party
Right.
for dad, and mom wants you kids to know that it's going to happen, but you can't tell daddy because we want to show daddy that we love him by having this special surprise party.
Right.
And if you let the cat out of the bag, if you let the secret out, then it won't be a surprise. And sometimes it's fun to be surprised in ways that show us that people love us.
Right. So I think that's really the question that we need to ask. Should we, and there's lots of decisions we make,
Oh, yeah.
And that's the question I think we should really ask. If we do this, is that an act of love?
Yeah. Okay. So whenever we know something and we're going to make an action, then we have to weigh it based on love.
Yes, I think so.
Wow. That's heavy stuff, kids.
It is. Woo!
Wow.
Woo!
Boy, I'll tell you, if you can get that one down, you are doing really well, because that's something that even your moms and dads, even grandmas and grandpas struggle with that. This knowing something, but then always acting in love when we know something.
Right.
That is going to be a challenge. That is going to be a challenge throughout all of our lives. But you know what, kids? If you start, it's just like the habit of brushing your teeth. If you get in the habit of brushing your teeth, it'll be something that will stick with you your whole
Right.
life long. And in the same way, if we get in the habit of weighing a situation, like offering candy and peanut stuff to juvenile diabetics or kids with nut allergies or whatever, we can learn that our knowledge needs to always be tempered with or colored with or influenced by love.
Right.
Wow. That's big stuff.
It is big stuff.
Boy, kids, we will be praying that just some seed of this idea will take root in your heart and life, because I'll tell you, in the Bible, there is so much for us to know. And the more we know about Christ, the more we make decisions that reflect the love of God, it changes us, but it also changes the world.
Yeah.
It's like when you throw a stone in a still pond. Have you ever done that, Brooke, playing in the summer? And then there's the ripples that go out. And that's the same way when we choose to show love. It's like ripples going out into the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Good
kids.
lesson.
Yeah, can you practice saying the word with us, epistle?
Epistle.
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 Epistle. That is a letter. A letter. And there's a section in the Bible, in the New Testament, of letters. And in those letters, we learned important things. And today's lesson is that love always should color our knowledge.
Okay. And let's put in the back of our mind that we need to sing that song one of these Sundays coming up.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
That will be fun because, everything
books
we
of
talk
the
about here
Bible
is related to that.
Lead us to revival. Yeah.
Yes.
So, well, then I guess it's time for us to close with the Lord's Prayer.
It is.
All right.
All righty. So everybody at home, would you please join us?
Sure.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Hey kids, we had a wonderful time together today, and you can see that I am wearing this very colorful face mask. It almost looks kind of scary on this camera. I'm looking up there.
It does look odd from a distance.
It was made by Brooke.
From a distance, it does look. But it looks really cool here.
I know, and I picked it because it's got blue in it, and I'm wearing like a bluish shirt, and there's kind of yellow in my tie, but you can't tell that. It just looks like I got a weird...
Hey, and one more thing, if anybody's watching, and...
There are people watching.
Well, I mean, anybody's watching who doesn't know this, by tomorrow, or even so, if there's any children who are watching that want to be involved in children's sermons when I have them.
Oh, neat.
Let me know, because we always do something beforehand now.
Oh, that's cool. I love that. I didn't know you were going to do that the last time. I was surprised because there were all the kids of the church and my granddaughter too, and I didn't know it. They kept a secret. That was a secret. But that was kind of a loving one.
Yes.
They had the knowledge, and my granddaughter didn't tell me.
I know.
And my daughter and son-in-law didn't tell me. They had the knowledge, but they knew that in love that secret would make me feel really special.
Right.
Boy, did it ever. So we've had a good time together today, kids. We'll look forward to seeing you, not just the kids, not just the young, but the young at heart. And so God bless you all. And hopefully we'll see some of you for worship in just a few minutes.